think often it can be almost too overwhelming for a lot of people in terms of when somebody hears we need to stop global warming just as a thing, where their head often goes to is, I need to sell my car and walk or cycle everywhere. Like that's where their head is, like, so extremist. And yet the reality probably is, if we all drove 10 miles a week less, everybody who owned a car, the emissions coming out would drop by some ginormous amount, and the impact would be amazingly positive. We don't actually have to sell the car, just walk everywhere. Actually, yeah, those are good things, but the changes individuals have to make are probably a lot smaller than we think.
Yeah, and I think, there are relatively simple steps that you can take if you want to dramatically improve your footprint. And one of the biggest impacts that we all have on our planet is our consumption, whether it's for particular products, clothing, toys, whatever, but also and especially food. The amount of food that is being produced and wasted every day is probably the single biggest impact that we as humans are having on the planet, both on climate and on biodiversity. So, for example, by cutting down on your meat consumption, which is good for your health, it's good for your wallet, and it's especially good for the climate and for biodiversity. And that's a very simple step that you can take.
And I guess the hard thing is to translate that into, what does reducing your meat consumption actually mean to have any form of, is it that you have to go vegan?
No.
Is it, I don't know. What do you reckon?
Yeah, no, definitely not. And personally, I'm not a vegan and I'm not vegetarian, but I like to consider myself a sustainable eater. So I'm very focused on what I buy and what I eat. So I try to eat less meat, but I certainly do eat meat. When I eat meat, I try to eat game. So not farm-raised animals, but wild caught, and always certified and always organic. But of course, a lot of this also is very expensive and not readily available for people all over the world. But I think if we all cut down on our meat consumption, because now in at least the western part of the world, we are eating meat at least 3 times a day. We eat it for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and it's certainly not good for you and not good for the planet. If you cut that out from part of your meals and had a few meat-free days a week, then that goes a really long way in terms of improving your own health and the health of the planet. So it's sort of the equivalent to your point on driving less. It's not about getting rid of everything or stopping everything. It's just about improving. I think then it becomes more manageable for people.
I think so. And as you said, it'd be better on people's wallets if they have to buy less meat, or maybe they spend the same amount and buy a better quality. That would be a step in the right direction.
And, we probably throw away more than 50% of the food that we buy. So by being more conscious in terms of what you're buying, planning a bit better and making sure that you use everything that you've bought, that's a huge step in the right direction.
I was saying to somebody the other day, it's almost like we've lost some of the way of living that my grandparents had. My grandparents lived into their 90s, so they weren't exactly hard done by in terms of health or anything else like that. They had healthy lives, and yet they ate, I suppose because of the Second World War, they ate a lot less meat. They did preserve their vegetables and fruits that they grew in the garden. They did have to use everything, because if you didn't, you went hungry. And I reckon we've lost some of that.
Yeah. So definitely certain things were a lot better before. And so we should probably listen to our grandparents a bit more and learning from some of the things that they were doing.
Damn it, elders really are betters. I have a little hack that I use with regards to helping myself be more accountable to the planet, and that is that every week my goal is to reduce the amount of garbage and recycling that I put out on the street, because it's very visual. You can see how full your bin is when it goes out there, and I treat it as a game. How little garbage can I put out on a weekly basis? And I don't really think it matters what you do to achieve it, but just little simple things like that can help you focus on, basically, I'm going to put less into a landfill. It's very cool.